Okay, this is Mrs. Robertson again, and we are going to be doing Chapter 4, Lesson 6, Divide a Whole Number by a Fraction. This is located on page 305. 305. Let me make it a little darker here with the red. On page 305, the big thing I want to make sure you know is what a reciprocal is. Put a star by this word, reciprocal. Any two numbers with the product of 1 are called reciprocals. Okay, so in other words, a number times its reciprocal equals 1. All right, now we're not going to pay attention to, well, let's just go ahead and we'll do this one. 1/2 times 2 over 1 equals 1. I don't like how I'm going to do this over here. 1/2 times 2 over 1 equals 2 over 2. And anytime the same number is the numerator and the denominator, it equals 1. You already knew that, didn't you? Okay. Now, 2/3 times its reciprocal, 3 over 2 equals 1. Because 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, and 6 over 6 is 1. So what is the reciprocal of 2/3? It's 3/2. Okay? Kids, you don't have to change those to mixed numbers, all right? When we're dealing with reciprocals, just keep it an improper fraction if that's what it is. All right? Now, we're not going to talk about this question here. I want you to write down some reciprocals of different things. What's the reciprocal of 4/5? What would that be, class? 5 over 4. You just flip them. 5/4. What's the reciprocal of 3/7? 7/3. Now I'm going to give you a harder one. What's the reciprocal of 4? Well, write it as a fraction, 4 over 1. Now, what's the reciprocal of 4 over 1? 1/4. You've got that? Good. Now let's turn to page 306. Find a reciprocal. Maybe that's what this page is talking about. Dividing 3 by 1/2 gives the same result as multiplying 3 by 2, which is the reciprocal of 1/2. Any two numbers with a product of 1 are called reciprocals. Okay, so 3 divided by 1/2 equals 6. That's the same thing as 3 times 2 equals 6. Now, what are they doing here? Let me just show you. If I have 3 circles, and the question is, when you have 3 divided by 1/2, they're asking, how many 1/2 live in 3 circles? Well, you just cut it into halves. And why, there are 6 1/2 in 3 circles. Do you see how they get that answer now? All right. So that's whenever you're dividing by fractions, your answer usually is bigger, unless it's a mixed number, than the number that you are dividing. So let's go on to number 1. Find the reciprocal of 2/3. Well, kids, it's going to be what? 3/2. Just write that down, because 2/3 times 3/2 equals 1. You already know that. Okay, let's go on to number 2. What's the reciprocal of 1/8? 8 over 1, which is another name for 8. Okay, 8 over 1 when you flip that. Now let's look at number 3. Find the reciprocal of 5. Well, you think of 5 as 5 over 1, right? And what's 5 over 1 flipped? 1 over 5, or 1/5. Let's fill in the boxes. 5 equals 5 over 1, and 5 over 1 times 1 over 5 equals 1. So the reciprocal of 5 is 1/5. Now, This won't take us long. Write the reciprocal of each of these numbers. What's the answer for A? Class? 5/3. What's the answer for B? 3/1 or 3. And what's the answer for this one? 1/11. That is right. Excellent job. Now we're ready. Everyone understands reciprocal? Thumbs up? Good. It's just a fraction flipped. Now we're going to go to how do we divide fractions. You have to know what a reciprocal is to divide fractions. To divide a whole number by a fraction, this is what you do. You multiply by its reciprocal. All right. The division expression, 5 divided by 2/3, is read 5 divided by 2/3. You need to find how many 2/3 are in a 5. Okay. That's what that says. So, what they do, 5 divided by 2/3, they change 5 to a fraction, and they flip 2/3. They multiply by its reciprocal. Now let's just finish this example's answer out. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 2 is 2. And 15 halves equals the mixed number 7 1/2. Okay, did everybody write that down in your divide by a fraction box? Now we're going to look at what a model of this looks like. 2 divided by 1/3. So here we have 2. This is one number. This is the second one, okay? So there we have 2. This is our model. The model, the divided, model, the divide, the dividend 2. Okay. Divide each whole into thirds. So each piece we cut into thirds. Excuse me. All right. Now, back to this problem. So we cut each one of these up into thirds because it's divided by 1/3. So now the question is 2 divided by 1/3. How many 1/3s are there in this picture? I did press play. There are 6, and that's the answer. 2 divided by 1/3 is 6. It's just saying how many 1/3s live in a 2? 6 of them. Now that you understand it, you're going to want to use method 2 because you really don't want to have to draw pictures all the time. So what do? 2 divided by 1/3 is the same thing as 2/1 times the reciprocal, 3/1, and that gives you the answer 6. See how easy that is? Okay, so that's what we're going to do. This is a picture of the understanding. This is the way to do it quickly. All right, 7 divided by 2/3. We're not going to divide 7 and cut them up into thirds and see how many 2/3 are in them. We're just going to do it the process way. So we're going to put 7/1, write this down, times, what's the reciprocal of 2/3? Yes, 3/2. Now, we have to copy it again. 7/1 times 3/2. There is no shortcut. 21/2. 21/2 equals, how many 2's live in a 21? 10. How many's left over? 10 1/2. Happiness. Now let's go on and do these problems at the bottom. Isn't it an easy lesson today? I like doing easy lessons on Friday. 6/1 times, what's my reciprocal? 3/1. What's the answer?
18/1.
Which is an 18. Let's do letter E. Am I going too fast?
Yes.
I'll slow a little bit. 5/1 times.
Thank you, Caitlin, staff and students. At this time, our drill is complete. You may resume to normal activities.
Are you kidding?
All right, it was just a drill.
Bro,
All right, we're recording. Let's keep going. 5 times 3 is 15. 1 times 2 is 2. How many 2's live in a 15? 7. That's a 14, and there's 1 left over. So the final answer, 7 1/2. Letter F. I'm going to put it above because I'm sort of running out of room. So I'm going to write down 4 over 1 times, what's 3/4 flipped? 4/3. No shortcut. 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 3 is 3. How many 3's live in a 16? 5, and there's 1 left over. Put a happy face if this is easy for you on your paper. Okay? Let's turn the page and look at our next example. Here is a word problem. At summer camp, the duration of a field hockey game is 3/4 of an hour. The camp counselors have set aside 6 hours for field hockey games. How many games can be played? So you're taking 6 hours divided by 3/4. Okay? So look at the model. This is cut up into 6 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they want to know how many 3/4 will fit into this. Kids, let's just go ahead and cut the rest of these into fourths. All right, that one's cut into fourths. I cut it in half and then I cut them again. Cut it in half. Now, I'm not going to make you do this on your word problems, but just in case you see a word problem and they want you to draw a model of what's going on, you'll at least have an idea of what to do. Okay? Has everyone got that cut up? My lines are a little crooked. Now, they want to know how many 3/4 are in that. So now let's circle every 3/4. There's 1, 1, 2, 3. This is sort of hard to do. There's 2, 1, 2, 3. There's another one. 1, 2, 3. This hurts my eyes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. See what I'm doing? 1, 2, 3. We're dividing 6 into 3/4. Oh, this comes out perfect with no remainder, doesn't it? So, how many 3/4 are in a 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of them. Now, let's do it the fastest way, where it's called really the keep, change, flip. You keep the first fraction, change the sign, and flip it or take the reciprocal of the second number. So 6 over 1 times 4/3. They simplified, they divided them both by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. And you end up with 8 over 1 or 8. That is faster than drawing all of this stuff, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, now let's go on and do our guided practice. Reciprocal of 2/3, class, what is it? 3/2. That's right. We can speak up a little more. What's the reciprocal of 1/7? 7 over 1. What's the reciprocal of 4? 1/4. Everyone good? Put a happy face if you can do that. Okay, divide. We're not going to draw the model on these. We're just going to do the keep, change, flip. So it's going to be 2 over 1 times what? 3 over 1, and the answer is 6 over 1, which is 6. Let's do number 5. Gently pick it up and put a 1 under it. What's the reciprocal of 4/5 times 5/4? I am going to simplify because I know 2 divides 2, and 2 can divide 4 2 times. You have 5/2. Change it to a mixed number. How many 2's live in a 5? 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and you have 1 left over. 2 and 1/2. This will be 5 over 1 times what? 7 over 2. No shortcut. Ooh, this is bigger. 35 over 2, but you can do this. How many 2's live in a 35? Well, don't always do it in your head. Just do how many 2's in a 3? 1. Subtract. Bring down. How many 2's in a 15? 7. And you have 1 left over. So it's 17 and 1/2. The 1 would go as your numerator and the 2 is the denominator. Any questions? Okay, let's look at question 7. A neighborhood development has 4 acres, and it is to be divided into 2/3 acre lots. Okay, this reminds me of what's going on in Franklin Township. You have some acres, you divide it up into housing lots, and you have a bunch of houses. We want to know how many houses are they going to fit on these 4 acres. Well, 2/3 of an acre lot's a pretty good sized lot. That's not a little lot. That's a nice size for a house and a yard. So we're going to have 4 divided by 2/3, okay? Picture the subdivision. Now we want to know how many houses can fit into it. So you're going to have 4 over 1 times what? 3 over 2. Let's say you don't simplify before you multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 2 is 2. How many houses are they going to build in that? 6. It's not a big neighborhood, is it? 6 houses. Now, if you simplify before you multiply, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 2 times, you'll get 6 over 1 right away. See how you get the same answer? All right, now it's Friday. We don't do homework on Fridays, but what do I want you to do? I want you to do 1, 2, and 3. You can get this done in class. The reciprocals you can do really quick. 1, 2, 3, and 9 is a house, and 11. Try to get 1, 2, 3, 9, and 11 done in about, we're in here till what, 17 after? You have, about 10, not quite 10 minutes, 8 minutes. No, 6 minutes. It's 6 minutes. You can get that done in 6 minutes. All right. Have a good weekend.